Oh,
I see it on there button.
now? Well,
Think we're good?
I think we are good. I think we're good on both.
Well, it already feels kind of strange just being back in front of the camera and being able to get ready to talk a little bit of football, Alabama football, college football, do what we do on Teague's Take. So everyone's starting to join into the chat. Thank you guys for allowing us to have season 6 with Teague's Take. Man, this wouldn't happen without all the support from a lot of different people, sponsors, from family, uh, the Teaksters. We just the Bama Standard. Everybody's a part of that family. Man, it means a lot to us. So while you're coming in, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Hit the likes as we're going through this. We'll kind of give you some updates on what Teague's Take is going to kind of look like over the course of this season, because it is going to look a little bit different. But on the slate today, what are we going to be talking about? Number 8, Alabama going against Florida State. What does that look like? What does that look like, and how are we going to defend Thomas Castellanos? How you say his last name?
I think it's not a double L like in.
Castellanos.
I think it's not like
Castellanos.
Yes, it's an L sound, not a yes sound like you might expect.
It is Castellanos. So we got to talk about him. How do we handle that? We want to be able to talk to you about that. Ty Simpson. Is he ready for it? We got to be able to hit that. And then, of course, the running back room. So you guys get ready as we kick off episode 1 of season 6. Teague's Take is going to start right now.
All right, so I know I was going to wave at you to let you know when we're back. Except the problem is, for some reason, I can't hear the intro either. I just have to sit here and just like look at it. So it's over. We can start, but now I know how awkward it is when you just like see it and then you can't hear anything.
Oh, okay. Can they see you, or they just hear you right now? Or am I just
No, they should know. They see both of us.
Okay, well, you know what? So I guess I get to start the show off with the right kind of jokes, right? Because I pay this guy a lot of money to be the master producer of Teague's Take.
Who
We're,
is that?
we're in season 6 right now, and we're. I guess this has become part of the show, right? Well, just we're gonna have.
Well, look.
This is how you make your money, right? For time.
Look, in my defense,
charge me about an hour.
In my defense, we used to have. I had everything set up in our old software, or in the previous software, and then they took away all the cool features and said that we had to pay monthly for it. So I went back to the one that we started with. Should have never left, really. But things are different. Things have been updated, and we got to get with the times.
Okay, so here's my first ask to all you Teaksters out there. We need a sponsor for this old software to pay this monthly subscription that JT don't want me to play for, because he can build it all by himself and just want to do that. I'm the guy that just likes to go get my oil changed, get the car washed. I pay for the luxuries, and he's more of a handsy kind of person than me. So if you're interested in sponsoring Teague's Take, go ahead and hit me up. You can find me on georgeteague.com. Hit that contact button. And if it's something you want to do, I'll reach back out to you. But again, welcome into Teague's Take, first episode of the season. Man, we're really looking forward to this. We got a lot of new ventures with this, with us. First, one of the new ventures for me and JT, we're coaching together once again at JP2, John Paul II High School in Plano, Texas. He's the defensive coordinator. I'm the head coach. So as much as we show film and do things and talk about it, on the show, we actually are living it. Of course, we get to do the podcasting like we do. This has been a long time for us, so we're very excited about that. And we're even doing football camps overseas. So it's always good to be able to work with your son, family members in a way that you can try to build things that way. So what I want to do right now, JT, is kind of give them a quick run out and get your thoughts about this. Right? I didn't put it in my teleprompter today, so had to check my handwriting and make sure I could do it right. So I actually wrote it down. So listen, y'all. Let's talk about this Alabama's number 8 spot in the 2025 AP preseason poll. So for most teams, I think they would be celebrating to be ranked number 8, but not in Tuscaloosa. Right? This is Bama's lowest preseason ranking since 2008. That was back when Nick Saban was still laying the groundwork for this dynasty. So this ranking, I think it tells you something. Tells you about the expectations that, at least from the outside of the Bama Nation, that they maybe dipped a little bit. Now you're down at number 8. They don't know how good we really are. So last season under Kalen DeBoer, the Tide finished 10-3. No, it's not a disaster. I think it's it's definitely what we thought maybe here on Teague's Take. But from the standard that we've been used to, that's not very, very good, right? So Bama missed the playoffs for just the third time since the playoffs started in 2014. The defense was ranked 28th in the nation in total yards. That's still not Alabama football, right? So yeah, that number 8 ranking, and someone just on Facebook just said something to me about that. Like, what's up with this number 8? Number 8 ranking is not just a number; it's a warning shot. Bam! Insert gunshot right there, JT. It's a warning shot. DeBoer is in year 2, and the pressure is on him. He has to clean up the inconsistency, especially on defense, and prove this team still belong among the elite. The SEC, particularly Alabama, there's no such thing as a rebuild year. So that's my run out. JT, how am I wrong? Is this this is year 2 for DeBoer? How much pressure is this guy under?
Man,
in year 2 already.
it's one of those things where I feel like there's a lot of undue pressure from outside, but there's pressure applied and there's pressure felt, right? So I wonder how much pressure he actually feels. Because I know I've heard a lot of people saying like, hey, if they miss the playoffs again, like DeBoer is out, which I feel like is not true.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't know. So that's why I'm like, I don't know how much pressure he actually feels, because I think the pressure from fans is a lot different than the pressure of the boss who's actually going to do something about it. And I just don't. I feel like he just feels like he needs to continue to build and get a little bit better each year. I don't think this is a make or break year. And I mean, unless they just go like, unless we're like in danger of missing a bowl or something, that's different.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't know. I just feel different about it anytime you're coming into a program like that. You have guys leave, maybe you don't, whatever. But he came in kind of late. The recruiting season is different. This still feels like year 1 to me. I know it's year 2, but it feels like now you got your real true class coming in, Sure, they're freshmen and all that, but it's the beginning of stages of laying his work. He had to deal with a quarterback. Maybe he wanted to have, maybe he didn't. I don't know. And that I think that made it hard on his offense. He didn't have the offensive coordinator he wanted. He dipped. Now he's back, and this feels like year one to me. So I'm optimistic. I'll start that with that. I'm optimistic, but this first game is going to be pretty important. Which brings me to my first question for you. We're number 8, as we just said. We're playing Florida State. They got this quarterback. I don't know. He looks bigger. If you watch his film, he looks a little bit bigger than how they have him listed. They got him listed at 5'11", 200 pounds, but runs the ball a lot. 2023, Thomas Castellanos. I get his name right sometime. Anyway, the quarterback there, he came from Nebraska. No, I'm sorry, Boston College. 2023, he threw for, so listen to this. He threw for 2,100 yards, I'm rounding numbers, 15 touchdowns. He rushed for 900 yards and 11 touchdowns. He threw 14 INTs that year. The next year, 24, only played in 8 games, but he threw for almost 1,400 yards, which is a significant drop. Had 18 touchdowns, which is more touchdowns. He only ran for 194 yards, and he had 5 INTs. So it's kind of weird to me on the difference in the stats there being at the same spot. But my question,
I already know what the Bama fans are saying with the difference in that. Bill O'Brien showed up one of those years, and production fell off a cliff. Go figure.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about a good point there, but let's talk about him in general. Is he Jalen Milroe 2.0? That what we facing this week?
I haven't really watched all of that much, but I wouldn't call him Jalen Milroe 2.0. This is we're splitting hairs here, but I would call him off-brand, maybe Dollar Tree Kyler Murray, because that's how he moves. He runs around. He's running backwards. He's turning around. He's doing all that kind of stuff. But I think he's more on the Kyler Murray trajectory or path of things than he is the Jalen Milroe path of things.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying he's going to go out here and win a Heisman or anything like that, but I think the comp is better.
I don't know how fast he is. I mean, I know he's breaking
fast enough.
Yeah. I mean, he's rushing for a lot, but they're running him, or they were running him the same kind of way, right? He was running through between tackles.
Yeah, he looked like sweeps. Kyler Murray and Riley Leonard, like kind of like smashed into a package and docked a couple skill points.
Now his passing percentage was, I don't know what you say is, but he was in the 50s his first couple of years and just hit 61% the last year. So I don't know, is that good enough for a dual threat quarterback?
I don't know. Passing percentage to me is always like, what is good? Because I mean, I you do one of these, them little toss things.
Right up front, the little toss on the jet sweep.
Yeah, it's like I'm pretty sure it's Amari Cooper. Like he had like 21 catches in the game, and it was like, yeah, but 18 of those was like the little pop passes. It's like,
hey man, counts for incentives. Nowadays, I get 10 catches a game. I might get 100 G's for that. Something, but
I suppose.
Okay, so how do you? What do you do with this? So you're a defensive coordinator. I want to be able to talk about this, right? Because we're not looking at JP2. We're kind of looking at a guy that scrambles, not necessarily a running quarterback. But what kind of pressure does this put on your defense? We've talked about it from the standpoint of what Jalen Milroe actually had to do for others, but now you're actually trying to defend this. First question is, are we a whole lot more prepared just because we had Jalen Milroe? We perhaps had to practice against some of it, or at least could see it. And then, two, after you answer that, let's get into some specifics of maybe what does that actually look like from a defensive standpoint? What are you looking for on film? How do you control where he runs and things of that nature? So, do we have an advantage? Basically, the first question of having seen Jalen Milroe and trying to defend him.
I'm gonna cop out and say maybe, but really I don't think so. Because the way they move and run around and scramble is so much different. Jalen was fast and he's a strong runner and things like that, but this dude is more elusive. He's
Okay.
like I said, he'll run backwards. He'll run all the way across the field. I think it was against NIU. He had that. It was 4th and 7, and he ran like 100 yards sideline to sideline, ran backwards into the end zone, and then like it felt like it was like a 20-second play, and then he finally threw the ball and converted it because like who's going to be able to cover for 15 seconds? And that's problematic. So what do you do to contain it? If you're worried about the pass, I think really you got a few options and you have to be efficient at both of them, and both of them require your secondary to hold up, right? Because you have one option of like you can just try to blitz him and get to him, but if you're gonna use a blitz and lose a guy in coverage, you can't give him then easy outlets, whether it be quick dump passes out into the flat, or if you vacated a zone in the middle of the field, like the read and having to find that open receiver has to be muddy. But that also means you got to get him on the ground the first time. You can't miss. Other options are slow down the rush, keep him in the pocket, and actually make him beat you throwing the ball, if that's what you want to do. And like really ensure, I think, what did Coach Ferris used to call it? He used to call it like a muddle rush or a safe rush. And you're not really trying to get to him. You're trying to slowly collapse the pocket, get your hands up, and just keep him there and make difficult throws. Otherwise, you just got to have speed and you got to chase him down and get him on the ground. Unless you really want to get in that game and you think your guys are just better than him, I think you have to probably send pressure to get him into places on the field that he is ineffective. It's kind of like, to me, it's kind of like playing Steph Curry in basketball. Well, I mean, he can shoot from anywhere. Maybe that's a bad example, but like you want to make the guy go left if his left hand is weak. If he doesn't shoot corner threes very well, like put him over there.
So I was going to ask that, and first let me remind everybody. So typically we're always showing film on this show. We're not doing it this episode just because we're going to change the format a little bit. I shouldn't say that's why we're not doing it this show. It's just we don't have any film from Florida State to really show this at this time. But every other Monday that we're on, we actually will be doing reviews of the previous game. So next Monday next Monday counts as a holiday. But typically on Mondays, we will do a review of it with the film. And then later in the week, and the Mondays will be live. And later during the week, we will drop some shows of previewing who Alabama is playing the following week. Did I say that correctly? Where everybody can understand that, JT? I don't know. I felt like I was confusing myself. Was that right?
Yeah, I think so. Yes, 2 shows, the live one, and then we'll post something later in the week for preview, and then Monday we'll come back reviewing, if that's what you said in short. We got a couple of questions. One from Hunter saying, would you want to play inside leverage on the outside all game because of the runner at QB? I think the answer there is if you're playing man, whether you have a runner at QB or not, typically you're always inside leverage. Yes, regardless of whether your QB is going to be running around or not. But you got to know where your help is. So we've played outside leverage when you got cover one because the only help you got is in the middle of the field anyway. But depends on what you're trying to take away. If you're playing zone, I mean, you can be outside coverage again because you want to funnel everything in. But it kind of just it really depends on what you're trying to do. Not necessarily because of the running quarterback. The other one, which I think is a very good question, and I'm clicking on the wrong thing. That's why I can't get things on the screen. Here it is. Do you expect to see a lot of buck sweeps and inside zone from Malzone coached offense, lots of misdirection, a lot of window dressing, and play action pass? The answer for me is yes. That's exactly what he did at Auburn. It's what he did at UCF. I don't know why it would be any different. And he's got a running quarterback now. So
pull it and go the other way.
Right. Which leads into my next point of when we were talking about trying to stop this guy. You have one problem in the past because he's so improvisational. Did I always say that word? Improvisational. But then you have the other problem of just zone read and QB runs in general. Right? Hopefully you can't hear my dog. Yes. Yeah, he's outside the window. Anyway, when you are dealing with zone runs where a quarterback can pull it, that's one of those things that you have to decide going into the game, especially with your defensive ends. If you're going to be playing a four down, and if they're reading the end, you've got to tell the end whether he's going to take the dive or whether he's going to sit for the QB pull and have somebody else take the dive. Generally, my rule is, who do you want carrying the ball? If you're afraid of the running back, if we're running zone read and it's Adrian Peterson and name a dude back there, I'm taking away the dive. Like, I want the quarterback to pull it, and we'll go get the quarterback. But maybe if it's Lamar Jackson back there, you're like, I don't want Lamar with the ball in his hands. Give it to somebody else. If you got Lamar and
Derrick Henry,
God help you. Man up, I guess. But in this case, you have to decide, who are you more afraid of? Who is more explosive with the ball? Do you think it's Florida State's quarterback, or do you think it's the running back? And then that tells you kind of, do you want to always be giving a give read or not? I think, and this is me, I'm saying I don't know much about Florida State's team right now. But I haven't heard anybody really talking about their running back. So to me, I'm saying make him hand it off inside the box and make him deal with our front that way. Don't let him get out on the edge.
Yep. Now, this could be a very complicated conversation. We're reaching high level on this, but the things you got to look at it when you're the coach of the other side, the defensive coordinator, the other side, and JT alluded to a lot of it is, where do you send the pressure from? Where are you trying to make him go? Are you blitzing to his face? Are you coming from the backside? Which way does he run? Can you force him to run because he throws the ball when it goes one way or something? I mean, you can look at quarterbacks in the NFL and everywhere else. A lot of time there is a weakness for most of them, unless they're Kyler Murray-ish and they start spinning and turning and all that kind of stuff, and they're just making you miss. It gets hard, but you have to have a plan on how you are going to rush a specific quarterback. So while they're looking at the tape, they're analyzing, yeah, he's a good runner, but what is his weakest type of run and where do we need to force him? So that is going to be very, very important for them, particularly if you're trying to bring some heat, or as JT said, are you forcing him to hand the ball off? You got to be sound on that. Would you give him the read that says, give it, and we'll just tackle the other dude. So, interesting conversation. We'll,
I guess shout out to Coach Hug real quick because he sent me a text message about 4 minutes ago. It says he sees me. So I guess and there's a screenshot. So hi, Coach.
oh, good. Yeah, well, shout out to Coach Hug. Coach Hug is our assistant head coach and offensive coordinator at John Paul II High School. Kind of diamond in the rough. We kind of found him in the classroom. He didn't want to tell nobody, JT, that he was coaching. I don't know what it is. And everybody kept telling me he was coach. And I pinned him down at the local bar and told him, let's do this thing. It only took a $6 beer and a hamburger. I got it.
That's all?
So
you cheap, Coach.
I know. Yeah, well, I overpaid you. My defense coordinator.
Oh, come on.
Too much money. All right, so let's talk about quarterbacks. Another quarterback, Ty Simpson. Right, kudos to him sticking it out. We're always talking about do people, are they loyal? Why are they at the school? Ty Simpson's been there for 3 years, right, and was sat behind some folks. Waited his. I don't like waited his turn. I think he earned his spot. Just took him a little bit longer than maybe else to do that. He has been able to play in some games. Never been the QB1 for us, but he has some experience. I felt like last year, just because of whether the hatred was good or bad or whatever to Mayro, sometimes I'd always hear that the best quarterback on the Cowboys or on the Alabama roster was Ty Simpson, and he needs to be in the game, this kind of thing. So he's here now. And if that type of attitude speaks volumes to the people outside or maybe inside Bama, how much pressure does it put on this guy? Game 1, is he having to come out there and be like all pro?
Oh, man. I tell you what. If it looks like that USF game from, what was that, 2 seasons ago? That is going to be disastrous for him, really. I mean, because you get a divide again, right? Because we always say this: the most
backup is the best.
The most popular player is the backup quarterback, right? And then the calls for Keelan start going, and it's Dak and
in the
Tony
first
Romo.
Half of the game, though. Come on,
it's
man.
Dak
First
and Tony
game.
Romo all over again. That's what that turns into. So for his sake, I hope it's not like that. But if it is like that,
yeah. Now he's getting a lot of praise from Grubbs. I guess I'm trying. Is he a what I need to know? Okay, because we don't know, but is he a game manager? Which I seem to be reading a lot about and hearing about, or is he a game changer? I think those are very drastically different. And which one are we really looking for? We're just looking for the person just to kind of get you past.
I'm just looking for somebody not to turn the ball over.
So you're looking for the game manager?
Yeah. I'm looking for the game manager. I'm hoping for the game changer. Like that's just icing on the cake. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got you.
Like he just. I don't
been
know
some time
how. I don't know how much of a comparison like this truly is, but because I want to say I just need him to be Mac Jones, but I might be selling my Mac Jones a little short there. But I mean, Mac Jones had all kinds of receivers all over the place.
Well, he got some now. Ty Simpson, it's not like we don't have dudes that he can throw the ball to.
Yeah, I mean he's got Ryan, but like they had like 3 of those guys.
Well, we'll see how he does, right? And I think there is some pressure on him to be able to have a good showing because it does not take long, as you said, for fans to turn on you in one series. One bad read, one bad throw. It's, oh my gosh, put the other guy in.
I mean, that's what was happening last year, right?
Oh, yeah.
One bad series, they was ready to throw the whole season away.
Okay, so now you got a quarterback. I guess I'm going to call him new just because he's the new starter for right. But he has to go up against Florida State. Mr. Tony White is the new defensive coordinator at Florida State. Came from Nebraska. That's what I said. Nebraska.
Oh, right. You can't actually see what's on the screen right now. My bad. But that was a great segue. Van Edwards says Tony White, FSU's DC, is a great coach. The 3-3-5 stack can pose problems, but there are ways Bama can expose it early. So continue the segue.
What was the guy's name?
Van Edwards.
Van, we appreciate you. First of all, thank you for being here, being in the chat, and asking great questions. But me and you must have some kind of connection here, man, because like I said, I can't see the screen. My IT guy over here, never mind.
Okay.
Never mind. So this 3-3-5. Let's talk about this for a minute, right? So let me bloviate for a minute, and then I'll get JT, the defensive coordinator, to give some ideas and let us figure out what Ty needs to do to be successful with this, or maybe what kind of problems. Or I guess I'm going to tell you what I think of some of it, right? So essentially, my opinion, 3-3-5 is kind of like a nickel defense, 3 linemen, 3 linebackers, 5 defensive backs. That's what that means. A lot of times when people get in this, they're doing a lot of movement. They're blitzing you. They're probably undersized. I think that's why it was derived, just because they needed. If a defense couldn't withstand the size and the bulkiness of the other team, they would go to 3-3-5 and run a lot of slants, and you're trying to figure out where people came from. So you had to have a lot of versatile guys. So maybe Florida State feels like, and with this, they think, hey, we got a lot of versatile guys that can do that. There are a couple areas in this to take key. So even for us running a 4-2-5, our star back, defensive back, has to be of a certain type of mold, right? Your rover needs to be of a certain type of mold. So in this, they have the same thing. In the 3-3-5, they have what this position called a jack linebacker, typically. He's an outside linebacker, but basically he can be a defensive end.
Mm-hmm.
He can rush. So you got to be able to get to your 4-man front, right? So we got to figure out who that is, what does look like, and can we actually do it. The guy that they have, JT, at the jackbacker, name's James Williams. 6'6", 260 pounds. Woo! That means you got to be able to run. You got to do something.
And he can
put his
run.
hand down. Okay. The second one is what they call a rover. That's the hybrid DB that we're kind of talking about. Got to be able to cover, and you got to be able to get in the box, to protect the run. Interesting thing about this, who is their person that they got slated to maybe start at their rover position? Transfer from Alabama, defensive back Earl Little Jr. Maybe he's got a little something there. So Ty Simpson, he's got to deal with this stuff where maybe blitzes are coming. He's got to find the matchups. I think that Ty needs to be able to, and it seems like in the weakness of the defense as the seams, because you're typically playing one high type of guy, one type of thing. So he's got to be sharp with that. Ty Simpson's going to have to use his legs. He's a dual threat guy. I don't think we need to have the design runs like I don't know how much we're going to see, Jalen Milroe, but he's going to have to be able to run and get out of the pocket. Lastly, we got to find the matchups. He has to find the matchups against those backers. I think our tight end is going to have to be good, and our running backs, which we'll get to in a minute, they got to be good, or it could be, a tough early outing for Ty. So when you're looking at this, JT, the 3-3 I kind of gave my overview, highlighted that. What do you see with this defense, and what kind of problems can it cause for a?
Well, like you said, a 3-3-5 is typically. I mean, you're right. It derived from having undersized guys. You're trying to slant and run a lot of games up front. What I admire about the 3-3-5 is that you can create whatever kind of front you want. right? You don't typically stay with the 3 down. You're gonna slant and bring a guy and end up in a over front, or slant and bring the other guy and end up in an under front, or send them out and sending somebody in. Like, there's many different ways to get back to a forefront with even spacing, or if you want to close the B gaps in between the guard and the tackle and create odd spacing, but still get a fourth person in there, you can still do that. And that's kind of the idea of the whole defense. Is you're creating fronts and spacing with guys that are off the ball and with movement up front. So you can get really creative with that kind of stuff. So what that means is you got to start to try to figure out where this guy's coming from, right? It can be either one of those 3. It could be an overhang, especially if you're going single high. It could be either one of those overhangs, 2 that can show up. And that also means if they're going to send 5, because I would venture to say most guys that are running a 3-3-5 do not consider bringing one guy a blitz. That's just, you're just getting back to a forefront. So that means you got to bring 2 guys in order to be considered blitzing. And now, again, that one guy could be from anywhere. Those 2 guys could also be from anywhere. They don't have to be on the same side. They could be on opposite sides. You can create all kinds of problems out of this.
So the inexperienced quarterback in the first game could have some issues.
It could have some real issues if he can't figure out, especially if he's the one that's got to set his own protection. You could run into quite a few problems there. But that also means that for certain amounts of time, there are spots that are open in the field, right? Because if you're going to bring somebody, the coverage has to bump over to fill that void. But still, the nice thing is you're still back into 7 guys dropping into coverage, right? So you're not actually losing somebody. The idea is that you're just getting back into a 4-2 or 4-3 or however you're going to do it. So as long as they can pick up where that guy's coming from and they can read kind of on the fly, because you're going to have, there's a couple of different ways to call plays, right? You have pre-snap options. This is one of my other philosophies, I guess, is it's all option football these days. You got pre-snap options where you're going to decide I'm going here or here based on alignment. You've got post-snap options where you're going to be reading something and then make a decision based on what you see. And then you've got like actual options, your typical speed option, triple option, those kind of things. Pre-snap options probably are not going to help you here unless they got some kind of tell.
Well, what I'm hearing him say, and hopefully you're hearing him say, is basically you got to have smart quarterback play. The options got to be good, but you got to see things on the fly because they can be coming somewhere, and you got to who's hot, who isn't, are they converting their routes? Linemen got to be knowing who to look for, because you could be going one way and then all of a sudden someone's twisting and coming around the other way. Who knows? Those things can happen. But on the flip side of that, those defenses can also get hurt very easily because you run yourself out of a gap. There's a great call by the offensive coordinator, and all of a sudden you got a big shot, whether it's a run or a pass, because maybe someone is honed in from up in the box like, hey, I got them. I'm going to help Ty and make sure he gets the ball to the right place. So it could go either way.
The thing I'm also hoping to see, because remember we did, I guess it was a year and a half ago now, because it was not this past January, but the January before when DeBoer took over. We did a whole show about what Ryan Grubb liked to do on offense, right? And we were talking about all the different kind of motions and shifts. He's putting quads over here, and then they just move around and do all that kind of stuff, which
they're about to get a lot of that. Florida State about to get a lot of that.
Yeah, and I think it is less likely to be a problem for us. It could be a problem for us, but Florida State has to be like on their P's and Q's and has to know exactly how to line up and do those kind of things, because especially when you're calling different, I'm going to call them pressures, but they're not pressures as we just said, because it's just bringing one extra guy. If you've got rules of like, hey, we're going to go to the tight end, or we're going to go to the field, or we're going to go to this number or whatever, and he starts out over here, and then you motion, and now you got a completely different formation. If there's a check to be made, you better make it quickly, and it better be right, because if you don't, probably going to
It's
bust
probably
the
not even
coverage.
going to be one movement. That's the thing. These offensive coordinators are getting genius that you flop the tight end, then you motion the wide receiver, or you whatever, move the back, then you move somebody else because of those reasons. That now guys have to be smart on our side too, because when you start moving people all over the place, they need to know where they're going to end up and what their responsibility needs to be. But I'm looking forward to that. I think that makes
That's
it
what I was
harder.
excited about last year, and then until he dipped out and said he was going to Seattle, but I still thought we were going to get more of that. We didn't get as much as I thought we were going to get.
Okay, so I just mentioned about you know, Ty having to understand all this. Perhaps the lineman. What about these running backs now? Okay, Jam Miller's out, who by far was the clear number one running back from all things, considered. Uh, Tremendous runner and all that, but he's out with the collarbone's going to be out for a few weeks. Now you got to deal with this type of defense with a running back who, first of all, has to give you some pass protection. You got young dudes in here that just create more anxiety for Grubbs and Ty, because I think they're going to do running back by committee. It's because they don't have a solid new starter. So does that worry you, JT? That hey, you got some inexperienced backs against a
I
complex
mean,
defense?
it probably should worry me. Um, I'm not worried about it though. I mean, and maybe that's just because I played running back long enough to think like, hey, pass protection is it really ain't that. As far as knowing who you're supposed to pick up, it really ain't that difficult. Like, remember, we got 5 linemen. They got 3 down. They're gonna identify the Mike, and then you're just gonna say, "Hey, the Mike plus 2 or whatever the rules are. I got this guy or that guy."
And turning to James Williams, I said, the 6'6", 260-pound guy. You better turn to him.
Yeah, you turn
Keep
that
the
way, and
running
then you
back
just
off him.
cut the other guy. Like,
You know,
I feel like it's not that complicated. Now I'm not saying that it never is, because it can be. You got guys coming across the formation. You got guys dipping out and coming back in. Like, there are many ways to mess with a running back's read. I just kind of feel like you're playing with fire if you're gonna do that from a 3-3 stack.
yeah, I guess I don't know who's going to start. I don't know if they're if it's Daniel Hill, Richard Young, Dre Washington. Been hearing a little bit about Kevin Riley and he's on the rise and all this kind of stuff. I think um, it's just going to be. I think they're going to rotate him through, and whoever gets hot or whoever's protecting the best or whatever is probably going to be the one to get the most snaps until you figure it out. I don't know if I like that as a coach when you're trying to figure out who it is. We did that at JP2 a few years ago. We had 3 really good running backs, but we didn't necessarily. We kind of talked about, man, who's hot, who's running, who's doing this, but the other guys kind of get mad. In this day and age of transfer portal and everything else, if they don't get their snaps or they're not doing it, who knows what's going to happen? When's the next window for transfer portals to open up? You just never know what these guys are really thinking. So, um, this is going to be an interesting football game because of all the things we talked about. One, you got a dynamic quarterback on the other side who can run. You got Ty. The storylines are just good, JT. You got a new quarterback at Bama. Kalen DeBoer is kind of under the, is he really under the gun or is he not? Florida State, how are they feeling? They went 2 and something last year.
Mm-hmm.
That coach is fighting for his life. He don't want to come out there and get
especially if you
drugged.
get blowed out, man. That's
Get
that's
drugged,
not a
man.
good look.
Oh man, you imagine what that conversation gonna be like when you. I think the line is up to almost 2 touchdowns now that we're favored. Didn't start out that big. I think that's where it is right now. Maybe I can ask Siri real fast. Hey Siri, what's the? I'm just playing.
I was gonna say
Siri
you
on.
just triggered a whole lot of people's phones.
So I think it's going to be interesting to watch and to see just because of these storylines. Of course, we're Bama fans and we want to see them be successful and do this. I think it's just deeper than that. We're so much more than just the surface. I think there's great lines to this. It's good to see perseverance by Ty Simpson. Rooting for him to be able to do well.
Chat is telling us that the line is 13.5. Also some questions. I'm sure there's plenty of questions. The chat's been scrolling in my windows. Not that big. But Hunter says, what are your thoughts on putting Ryan in the slot? He wants to see it. I think Ryan needs to be all over the place.
I don't think he's going to be. And with the way they're going to do this, he's going to be all over the field. Slot. He's probably going to be in a lot of motion, too. They're not going to just stick him up there. It's what JT was talking about. You got guys that you got to get the ball to, and you got to make the other team think. Shoot. I wouldn't be surprised, JT, if they stick him at running back and motion him out, figure out where you're going to go with them.
Like the Cowboys used to do with CeeDee Lamb, of just put him back there and say, if you don't have no rules for this, you're going to end up, it's going to be a linebacker on number 2.
Right.
That linebacker also better be a corner.
Yes. So I could see him being all over the place.
I kind of hope they do. I was going to just even mentioning this is probably going to anger some people, but I hope they do things that Vanderbilt was doing last year, which was showing different personnel, like getting in sets where there's 3 backs in the backfield, but it's not 3 running backs. It's actually 1 running back and 2 receivers.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get any of that. I hear what you're saying, and I think you just made everybody's hair stand up when you said Vanderbilt. You shouldn't have said that on the first show. Could at least let us get it into the second show before you brought that up.
I'm just
considering if you watched that series on Netflix. I don't know if you watched that.
I did not.
I don't know if I can give them the promotion or not, but it's kind of interesting. Watching the SEC football thing on Netflix. You need to make sure you watch it. But anyway, you got another question before we go? We got a couple minutes left before we need to dip.
Let's see. They need to move Ty out of the pocket. What do you think? I don't know. I lean towards maybe not, because as we were talking about with this 3-3-5 stack, you don't know where those guys are coming from. I think it's probably easier to keep them insulated in the pocket because there's only there's only 3 interior guys, and if that guy, it seems like you're actually going to be safer inside the pocket than trying to move it.
It just depends. And well, like you said, where they're sending the heat from. Are they trying? It's back what we were saying about them. Are they trying to send the pressure up the middle in his face, or to his face, or on his backside? What is Mr. White, Coach White, really thinking about on how he needs to pressure this guy? Is there enough intel to figure out, hey, does he take off to the right all the time or something? So
here's your other question. How would Coach Teague cover Ryan?
How would I? Are you talking about you or are you talking about me?
I don't know.
Do Coach Teagues now. I am making it very hard for you to get the ball to him. You're gonna have to beat me with Germ or somebody else. We gotta double this guy. We gotta put a safety over the top almost all the time. I know it can create some weaknesses, and right now, because you don't have that running back, perhaps that you're thinking could be as effective as you can. I'm definitely trying to make you throw the ball somewhere else or run it. I need to get that way, and it's easier to double one single guy. I know we have more threats. I'm not taking away from anybody else, but when you gotta, right, you can't let him just take over too fast or too early. So I'm doubling him all kind of ways. Over, under,
Over,
inside,
under, in and
outside.
out.
Yeah, he's got to get every look possible, and you just got to throw it over there somewhere else. You can't, because when you do it, you become like Jamar Chase or something. You single him up and you leave him by himself. Now he might run right past a double team. You know, I mean, he's
Yeah, but you got to at least
going to
make it
do
difficult, right? You know, this is
that. Yes.
same thing we're telling our stars, right? It was like you can't just not get hands on this dude because you just let him. If you let him run 10 yards unimpeded, he's gonna catch the ball.
Yep. Yep. So uh, that's how I would DM up for you. Asking me as a coach, that's what I'm saying. As a defensive back, those are the ones that you got to figure out. Do you want to actually press or do you want to be off? You know, I don't know which way I look at him as a speed demon or a better route runner. I think I'd be more afraid of playing off with him. A lot of times, once you get up in someone's face, they kind of only got a couple routes they can run. I'd rather cut some of the route tree down, personally, and just if you're gonna beat me on the comeback or the fade, you got to get it. Got to be a great throw. But I don't want to be just off and let you start running slants, slant goes, digs. Go on, I need to cut some of this out. Take my chances. That's me. All right. Well, JT, unless you got some more questions, I think we had a tremendous one here at the beginning, man. We're going to be here with you live on Mondays. Man, we kind of hate to say it, just on our first show coming back, that next Monday we're not going to be here because
That's
it
right.
is.
There's multiple practices going on. We got our own practice, and Tinsley has her first soccer practice at the same time.
hmm hmm So, being off day, we're going to have our football practice later in the day at John Paul II High School. So that is a big conflict there. But then your grandbaby's going to be out kicking a soccer ball around. JT, he loves football with the U. So he got his baby girl in there trying to be, what's the lady's name? Want to give me a famous soccer player.
Mia Hamm.
Yeah, we got a little Mia Ham in the house or whatever. I guess I gotta get her a jersey or something. No, I'm sorry. I'll let Honeygram get it for her. That's all I gotta do is say it. She'll have it here today. So just stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Okay, do that. Go ahead and do it now if you haven't done it. You can find us here. You can find us on the Bama Standard every single week. Don't forget to be able to look for the drops later in the week as well when we're doing previews of the other shows. That is going to be a new thing for us as well. Want to be a sponsor or something? Hit me up. Like I said, go to georgeteague.com, hit that contact button, and you can become part of the family if you want to do that. Otherwise, just know you're going to start getting some great content, film review, getting those film in, so you can do it. So thank you guys for being Teamsters. JT, you got any last words after the first show, season 6, number 1, before we part?
Nope. I'm excited. I'm ready to. I'm ready to see some Alabama football, and hopefully, we start that off with a win for us on Friday, and then a big win on Saturday.
Saturday's going to be so good. There's so many football games on. It's ours, but there's so many matchups, key matchups. That's going to lay the landscape of what football looks like because there's so many top-ranked teams they're going to be playing over the weekend, not just Saturday. So a lot of people are going to be tuned in. I'll be worn out because we're going to have to be breaking down our own film on Saturday. We're going to be trying to watch all these games. It's just so much. In another week, I got to get ready for the CBS show.
Well, your granddaughter's birthday is
we're doing a party on the
6th, which is the following Saturday. There's a lot of
during the football game. What's up with your wife, man? She put the party right in during the Alabama football game. It's something because we're playing Louisiana Monroe that she just don't want to see them get beat up on. Louisiana
no, she can't stand Louisiana Monroe. She would love to see them get beat up.
Oh, maybe she'll have it on at the party. I pretend not like I'm not looking at my phone doing my granddaughter's.
Well, you can you can watch it during the unicorn movie that Vincent wants to watch.
Oh yeah. Well, she asked for the gift that you wanted. So all right. Well, we're just killing time. We're going to go ahead and get out of here because we got to get up early in the morning for this early morning practice. We thank y'all. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. We're going to be back here. Follow, subscribe to Teague Take Podcast. Hit us up on social medias at Teague Take everything. Okay? And we will see you guys soon. Here's JT. I'm GT. We're out.